So welcome to Krav Life, Mike, and you're in San Diego, correct?
Yes.
So what's the weather like there in San Diego? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just being jealous.
72 and sunny. I have a student who's does weather, and I'm like, you have the easiest job. She does it on the news. I'm like, you have the easiest job. You just got to come up and say it's 72 and sunny. But she assures me there's a lot more to it than that.
In other parts of the country, maybe.
Sure.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you get? Did you start in another martial art? What was your introduction to martial arts?
I actually started as a teenager. I was very interested in and I always wanted to do martial arts as a child. I just never had the opportunity, and there wasn't that many places when I was interested that took children as students. It was primarily adults. So I got into boxing a little bit on my own, and I started got speed bags and heavy bags and started just learning, faking it and learning how to punch on my own and things. And it wasn't until I grew up in Chicago, and so I relocated to San Diego, and I was going to school, and I didn't really know anybody. So I was going to the gym, coming home from the gym after doing some lifting, and there was a grand opening for a martial arts studio. And so I stopped in and talked to the head instructor, and I was sold. I went and signed up, and basically it was what I first started in was, it was really, he called it American karate. It was boxing, it was wrestling, it was judo, grappling. We used to we'd take our belts off and try to choke each other out. It was just whatever you could do, a lot of fighting. But he just called it American karate. And I ended up training with him for on and off for about 28 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
Yeah. And and then I trained in other arts and disciplines, mainly from his guidance, because when I started with him, I trained with him for a very long time, and there was a core group of us that were all training. Oh, sorry, hold on. Motion detector. One.
Jump around. There we go.
Sorry about that.
No
so we had a core group of students, and we used to, he's like, I've given you as much knowledge as I have. Now it would be great if everybody went out to other locations and other styles, and we would meet back and share what we learned in other disciplines. And we kind of kept what we thought would work for us, and discarded what we didn't think would work for us. And so that kind of exposed me to Shotokan, and then I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then I did Kali, and I did Jeet Kune Do, and so that kind of evolved my hybrid of training. And then I got interested in Krav. I had looked at it for a while, and I had already been teaching for a number of years. And I was hesitant because of, we were doing a lot of stuff with weapon defenses and multiple attackers and all kinds of stuff. So I kind of was resistant a little bit, and then I decided to investigate it, and I went in, and what I was taken by and basically fell in love with was the integration of the system to simplify everything, and what you were teaching at a level 1 student applied in a level 4 or 5 student, with gun defenses, as far as like the importance of straight punching and things like that. It made it easier to learn and easier to retain. So it was the cohesiveness of the techniques and the curriculum is something that I was really drawn to.
Okay. And like, when did you get started with Krav?
I started in Krav in 2000 and 2004, I think. 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And were you always with Worldwide, or did you look at other Krav systems?
No, I was being in San Diego, and the National Training Center is located in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It was easy for me because when I was first started out, I would go up and do their instructor training, but I got to go up there. I would go up there for weekends, and just jump into as many classes as I could while I was up there. So it was really easy for me to take in the knowledge and do it in a rapid pace. So it just fit. It just fit. And then the more I met, when I started training under Darren and things, Darren Levine, it was, I enjoy the organization, and it really worked for us.
Oh, good. And like, how long have you had your own studio?
This is my 32nd year. So
Okay.
it's
All right.
not my first rodeo.
No, that's a long haul.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. And you've always been in the San Diego area then?
Yeah. I had at one point I had 2 training locations in San Diego, and then I helped a student open up a center in Texas. So I kind of bounced back and forth while he was getting that up and running. So.
Yeah, that's cool. And so what sort of trainings have you done over the years in Krav?
As far as
yeah, like stuff
providing
that
or taking.
both, right? Because like every once in a while you hear like some really cool seminars or trainings or guest instructors, and you've been in for a long time, so you've probably had opportunity to attend stuff, especially being so close to the National Training Center, right?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, I've taught in Mexico, I've taught in Canada, I've taught in all across the United States. So over the years, I've got to train with instructors from around the world, and I've actually got to attend many seminars. Besides Krav Maga, I've done other stuff. As far as I was big into adrenal stress training, so and that's something that I still do, and I incorporate into Krav Maga because it just takes it to the next level. But we've done a lot of carjacking seminars, anti-hostage seminars, active shooter seminars, defense against. I do little 3-hour breakouts that are open to anybody that want to come in throughout the years, besides our major training and our day-to-day training. So we'll do defense against edge weapons. We'll do impact, defense against impact weapons. Our biggest one that we do, and it's going to be the 7th year in August, we're doing an active shooter mitigation and anti-hostage tactics. And the last one we ended up doing in 2019 was great. We had 10 different locations that came. We had about 75, 80 people that showed up. As far north as Seattle, and as far east as Houston. So it was a good group of training. But besides just working on a padded floor and fluorescent lights, we take it to a private training facility that's used by law enforcement and military. So we get to do hyper realistic training in different environments. So they have a 4-story shoot house on site. They used to have a 727. And I did a short documentary for Fox, the local Fox station, on fighting on an airplane. And also one for active shooter. I was a consultant for an active shooter segment as well. So it's nice to be able to train and then take it out of the box. So you're not, you're working on cement, you're working on dirt, you're working in, different environments. They have a village. They have like a desert village on site. They have a ship. So they do ship clearing and all kinds of stuff. So it's nice to give the students a different taste. When you're fighting in a confined area, or you've got corners and angles to deal with. That's the thing that I believe in the training. I guess my motto is to teach what you need to do, to practice what you've learned, and then you have to stress it. You have to take it out and put it under stress so that you've got it here, you've got it here, and you feel more confident in your skill set.
Yeah, for sure. Like that definitely sounds that would be fun. Or doing it on a ship or a plane and all that stuff. And testing the stuff that you learn in the class is definitely an integral part of all Krav training. Do you find that that's now even more important because there seems to be like a rising, I guess, tension? People are more tense now. I don't know. Do you find that in your area? First off, like, do you find that people are angrier or just more tense?
I would say they're less tolerant.
There you go. That's a good word. Yeah.
You see it as simple cases of, driving. People. California driving is not easy. But it seems to be people are taking liberties. They're tired of waiting. They're tired of, they just want to do what they want to do, and it's more about, I call it the all about me, scenario, and they could care less of others. So we're not as bad as other places in the nation, like Portland and Minneapolis and New York. Certainly seeing an uptick in violent crimes. Chicago's always been, pretty rough. So we've kind of been insulated, but I definitely see what you're saying as far as, and I'm a student of combat, if you will. So I watch, I'm into the statistics of the DOJ and what's happening to keep my finger on the pulse of what I need to be getting out to my students.
Mm-hmm. And is that affecting how you're training your students?
We've always been a staunch believer of elevating people's training, and I'll revert back to about the adrenal stress stuff. I got the opportunity to work with some pioneers in the adrenal stress world and doing fear, adrenaline, stress training, and working with Peyton Quinn and REMCAT up in Colorado. And they were doing some pretty groundbreaking stuff early on, because of the fact that it's common knowledge that your technique will disintegrate under duress and stress, as far as the loss of fine motor skill and things like that. So to train at a higher level, in your day-to-day training, hopefully will mitigate, what that disintegration is during an actual event. So I've always been an advocate for making it as real as possible, so that the students are getting the best training, and being the best prepared.
So you kind of you've been preparing for this time then, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's the job, it's the nature of the beast. I want to be as informed and as educated as I can. Besides teaching, I owned a nightclub for 16 years. So wow. I got a chance to kind of practice what I teach. And been exposed to many things over those 16 years. So it's a little bit different paradigm or protocol, because although this was early on, you couldn't punch first and ask questions second. It was kind of the other way around, being in the doing crowd control and providing security for musical artists and things like that. So, but things, sometimes things went sideways real quick.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, because when you have a job like let's say like a bouncer or something like that, you can't just haul off on people. You're always playing a bit more defensive, right? So you can't just all out fight, because you have to try and there's legal ramifications, I guess is what you could say.
Right.
So
And what that really gave me was a highly elevated sense of profiling, if you will, because you're right. You're absolutely right. I would have to go into a situation, live music's playing, it's 110 decibels. You gotta walk right up to somebody's face, and you gotta try to find out and read them really quickly on what their response is going to be. And sometimes it was good, sometimes not so good. So it gave me a chance to really kind of pre-frame, situations. So I would find myself out in the street, walking around, being out, with a group of individuals, and see people interact, and I'm like, okay, watch this. I would say to my friends, watch what's going to happen here. Because you could see it. You could see people elevating, posturing, all the pre-framed or all the pre-fight indicators that people would show prior to pushing, shoving, kicking, grabbing, whatever.
Yeah. And so is that something that you find like with Krav Maga? Because a lot of self-defense training, in quotations, training, is really one-dimensional. It's very, if a person does this, you do this to them. But the reality is so much more, because like you were saying, we need to read the body, right? There are legal ramifications to what we do. What's the situation? Like, it isn't, one size fits all. If someone does this, you can't always just do that thing where you're destroying them. Do you find that that's the utility in Krav Maga, where good Krav Maga is teaching people to read the body, read the situation, de-escalate, get out of there, rather than just, if a guy comes in on you, you're completely destroying them, because you can't always do that, right?
Right. Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, I kind of, because of my past and what I've gone through and the years that I've been training and everything, I think it's extremely responsible and a duty for anybody who provides self-defense information to cover that spectrum, right? From and for me, I think my understanding, Krav Maga, and I tell my students, like, Krav Maga isn't really about de-escalation. I mean, Krav Maga is that line has been crossed and it's go time, right? And there's a lot of things that should happen before that line is ever, you ever come close to that line, right? But and so I think everybody has a right as a self-defense instructor to really provide that kind of information. My opinion, nobody wins in an altercation, really.
No.
Everybody gets hurt. We're always our worst critics. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. It doesn't really matter. But and especially having the experience that I have, it's not a sport for me. It's a lifestyle. Hopefully you can edit that stuff out.
Yeah, it makes it real, right?
Yeah.
No, and that's exactly. It's funny you said it's a lifestyle, because that's exactly what our tagline is, right? Krav Maga is more than self-defense; it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because it's like I tell my students the same thing: is by the time you're doing this particular self-defense, a whole bunch of stuff had to go wrong.
Yeah.
Right. You either had to miss a whole bunch of opportunities to, get out of there, or, just it was not your day, before you're using the self-defense. And yeah, I agree with you that the self-defense portion of Krav Maga that's your last line, right? And that line was crossed, and now you're in this unfortunate situation. And
Well, I always tell people when I talk to my students is, as long as I've been doing this stuff and everything that I've done, I will walk 2 miles out of my way to avoid a confrontation,
yeah,
but confrontation follows you. Sometimes it finds you, and, sometimes you're just a unwilling participant, and I tell people it's like car insurance, it's like when you're spinning out of control in your vehicle, that's the wrong time to say, I wish I had insurance, or
yeah,
it's too late at that point. So, and there's no such thing as overtraining for self-defense. I mean, there just isn't. You can use it for exercise and everything, but you gotta train the mind. You gotta train the body.
exactly. So how does so I don't like, I know of San Diego. How does it compare to the rest of the country with in regards to like crime and violence and stuff like that? Like, is it relatively safe? Is it on the more violent end?
I think it's relatively safe. I mean, San Diego's a huge military town. I mean, we have Marines, the Marine base to the north of us. We have naval San Diego naval stations. We have North Island, 32nd. So we have the sub base in Point Loma. It's heavily concentrated with military. And a lot of my students come from different branches of the military, as well as law enforcement. So, all in all, I mean, things happen. Things happen everywhere. Anytime you put a lot of people in a confined area. I haven't checked. I haven't checked lately as far as what the statistics have been. Although I know I did read something short that shootings are on the rise just a little bit. To be honest with you, I kind of thought I was surprised, but not. I was happy I was wrong, but I actually thought that crime was going to elevate even more when mask wearing became, mandatory. Because I mean, people now, or were, wearing hoodies and masks and stuff, and that was the norm. So I thought it would elevate as more than it has, but there has been a slight uptick in crime in San Diego.
Yeah, I think it seems to be like everywhere with everyone that I've talked to. So with that many military people in the military as your students, do you find that they're asking for more, that your Krav training is more geared towards military stuff, or do you keep it still all separate?
Well, so we have our day-to-day training, and it's based off the civilian curriculum in Krav Maga Worldwide. So, and that objective is basically defend and escape. I am a civilian law enforcement instructor as well, so I teach closed sessions to different departments in San Diego, and that their objective is different. Their objective is defend and apprehend. There's no reason a civilian needs to learn how to handcuff somebody or how to prone somebody out, or it's not warranted in most cases. We do teach other stuff and different objectives, but we target it specifically for their needs, and it's not something we do in our day-to-day classes, but we do it.
Oh, okay. And so, like, let's say, so if someone came up as in the civilian one, you'd obviously have opportunities for them to learn that other stuff and become trainers as well, or is that something that they have to do with Worldwide?
As far as teaching law enforcement, or
like let's say you have a student, they're not a police officer, they're not military, but they wanted to learn that stuff. Do you have those pathways for them as well?
After proper vetting. And part of the reason is, our first responders, law enforcement, they have to keep current on their skill set. There's always counter training. It's proven that the bad guys will they'll counter train what's being taught, as everyone else will. So they kind of keep the curriculum for the law enforcement and military pretty closely guarded, so it's not out there in the general public. There are some stuff you can find on YouTube and things like that, but there are pathways if they want to do it. They become an instructor. They have to become through the civilian process, and then if they do decide to go into becoming a civilian law enforcement instructor, there's a process for that as well.
Cool, perfect. So, if someone wanted to get involved or train with you, like where are you exactly located?
So we're in the north end of San Diego, the city limits. We're right just south of Del Mar, in between Del Mar and La Jolla, right off the 5, basically. Information's on our website, MMAacademy.com. There's our seminars coming up August 7th and 8th. That's going to be, we couldn't do it last year for obvious reasons, but it's wide open now, starting this week. So I've postponed this 7th annual active shooter seminar. It's probably been the 5th time I've pushed it. Just because people weren't ready, and it's to be able to have access to this center that we're training at it's first rate. It's not a lot of people can use it, so we cherish it and use it to its full extent for 2 days.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about what they're going to be learning at this training? So
we teach gun defense, handgun defense, rifle defense as it pertains to an active shooting. It's really, the paradigm or the protocol for these situations is, run, hide, fight. I understand, trying to get out the information. It's usually really big on running, really big on hiding and what to do on hiding, but not so much on fighting. It's like fight with everything you've got. Grab a fire extinguisher, do whatever you can, organize and things like that. But this is just, hey, somebody busts in your office and they're carrying a long gun. What do you do? And then, so we'll go through all that. We'll learn all the techniques from the front, side, back. We'll also use edged weapons. And then, because we have access to the facility, they have different scenarios. They have the shoot house is broken up into 4 floors. The bottom floor looks like a house. The second floor looks like 2 apartments. So you're like walking up a flight of stairs outside of 2 apartments, and then they go into 2 small apartments. The third is like an office complex. So there's many little office rooms and hallways and things like that. And the 4th floor is a schoolhouse. So there's wider hallways, lockers, rooms with multiple doors, front and back. So they get to practice this in different environments. We also do anti-hostage tactics. So we'll do things where we'll hood them and have them fight hooded and hands bound with either duct tape or zip ties. Teach them that they can still fight. They can still do some of the defenses even with their hands bound. And then how to break free of the restraints, how to, what to do. Sometimes, do gun defense with a hood on. That's a whole different tactic when you can't see what you're doing, but you can feel it. And then we drill. We teach the techniques, and then we run them through scenarios, and it's over and over and over again. So there's and then we'll put stimulus in the venue, loud music. We'll walk around firing blanks. There's smoke, there's light, there's There's all kinds of sensory input to kind of desensitize you to these situations.
Wow. And is that open to anybody?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
It is advanced training, but as you know, Krav Maga is meant to be easy to learn. And if you walk away from the weekend with 2 or 3 techniques, awesome.
Yeah.
But it is like trying to drink from a fire hose. I mean, it's like there's so much information will come out, but the nice part about it is we keep going over it again and again and again and again and again. I've had people over the years come in, never trained a day one in Krav Maga, signed up for the seminar, did 2 days of incredible training, and they're so energized at the end of the weekend, and they're like, I want to sign up, I need to do this and stuff, and I'm like, great, come on in, and they're like, okay, and they start training with me, like, when are we going to get duct taped and hooded and tackled? And it's like, when are we going to do that again? We're just like, oh,
next year.
You learned how to race a Formula One car, in your first weekend. Now we're going to go back and learn the fundamentals of driving and build you back up. So, and they understand it, but it is, it can be done by anybody.
Nice. All right. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'd love to come out for that if I could, but we'll see. But either way, I'd like to get that information up for anybody that's listening that's in your area that might want training like that. So I'll get that information from you, and we'll post it up in the notes underneath. And then one day, if I'm ever in San Diego, I'd love to come out and visit you guys, if that's all right.
Absolutely, doors always open to anybody that wants to train.
Perfect.
Always. I mean, we won't be. We were in an 8,000 square foot 4-room training facility pre-COVID. That all came to a screeching halt. We relocated, and so we're in a temporary home right now. We're going to be here for probably another 2 months, and then we're moving to another larger venue. Now that everything is kind of the 2-week curve has finally been flattened.
Yeah. The whole COVID thing's been an experience, that's for sure. All right, Mike. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and talking to us. This has been fun. I'd like to do it again at some point, and you have yourself a good weekend, I guess.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right. Take care.
You too.